Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got a third-party Transformers review for you. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Unique Toys Nero. So this is their take on an Age of Extinction Galvatron. So like we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging and bring it in and see what's going on there. So right up at the top, you have the Unique Toys logo. You have Nero, and this is a big box for a big boy. You have ages 15 plus. And right there in the middle, you have the transformation of the Galvatron from his truck mode to his robot mode, that crazy Matrix transformation they had in Age of Extinction. On this side, you have the same thing. On the back, you have ages 15 plus, and you've got this cool honeycomb pattern on it. And you have choking hazard, and you have that, and Unique Toys. Sorry, there is no sad baby on this box. On this side, you have the honeycomb pattern. On the top, you have the morphing Galvatron, and on the bottom, you have honeycomb pattern and a UPC code. So, not a lot to see on this packaging, but hey, that's all right. There's a lot to see on this guy. So let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. And here for your viewing pleasure is everything that came inside that box, and we will start with this sheet right here in the middle. Now this is his instruction sheet, but it is also a really cool poster of Mr. Nero himself. So if that's something you want to put on your wall, then go ahead and do so. It is a good size poster, and like I said, it is the instruction sheet as well, so there's a lot going on in there. Alright, so there you go. And the next thing we'll talk about is his hand cannon. So this just slips right over his fist. It doesn't matter which fist, it'll go over either one. And it is, I want to say, universal for the most part. So you just put his fist right in here, and it doesn't matter if it's this way or if it's this way. It'll fit either direction. But talk about some nice detail. This thing really, really looks cool. So let's take a moment to admire that. You've got that nice copper right there in the middle. And good detail all the way around on this thing. Unfortunately, it is not effects compatible with the effects that would come with, you know, the War for Cybertron figures, which would have been awesome if we could throw some effects on there, but it's not, unfortunately. That pin right there in the middle is just too small. But for the most part, I think this thing looks good. It's got a little bit going on inside, not a lot. So, yeah. It's everything that it has going on really is on the outside of this thing, but I think it looks pretty cool. I like this. All right, the next thing we'll talk about are his missile pods. So he does come with two of these. They are identical. So you do have two of these, and they are die-cast metal, which is cool. They have good weight to them, and they are not for the kids because these aren't like needle sharp, but they are sharp enough. They'll poke you pretty good. So just be careful with these when you're handling them. Now there's not a lot of detail, not a lot going on here. They look great in his truck mode, but as we'll see here shortly, we'll talk about them in his robot mode as well, and they're a little puzzling in the robot mode. But when you put him on the sides of the truck, these things just look absolutely amazing, and I'm telling you, these things could be deadly. Alright, now the last accessory we'll talk about is this little guy right over here, this little nondescript bald man with sunglasses and a suit. That could be a Man in Black, or could it be Joshua Joyce, the character played by Stanley Tucci in Age of Extinction? And I think that's probably what they're going for. So henceforth, he will be known as Little Tucci. That's what I'll be calling him. And he's pretty cool. I mean, he's not a static figure, so you actually do have a little bit of articulation with this guy. So that head will go down, it'll go up, and you can turn it around if you want to do so. You do have a little bit of in and out on those shoulders, and you can take that all the way around if you choose to do so. Nothing else going on as far as the arms or the hands go. And then down here at the legs, you can get a little bit of a spread there for those hips. And then he will kick forward that far, and he'll kick backward that far, and you can get a pretty decent knee bend. And he actually is surprisingly stable. I'm not going to try to do it on camera, but he is pretty easy to actually stand up. So I'm really impressed that Nero came with this little figure, and he does fit in the truck cab, not eloquently, not gracefully, but you can get him in there. So there you go. So that is it for all the accessories that came with Mr. Nero. So I guess it's time now to move on to the big man himself and take a look at his details and articulation. And here he is, the bot we've all been waiting for. Here is Nero, aka Age of Extinction Galvatron. And I gotta tell you guys, this figure looks amazing. It has sincerely, from the looks standpoint, it has sincerely exceeded my expectations. He's lovely. So let's go ahead and bring him in for his close-up. And we'll start with that beautiful head right there. And oh my gosh, let's just take a moment and soak it in. There is so much going on here, so much detail, so many paint apps. Unfortunately, I do have a little bit of bad news. These eyes light up, but unfortunately, I don't have the right size battery yet. They're on order, but I don't have them yet, and I didn't want to wait to get this review out to you guys. When we get to the bot comparisons, I do have a little bit of a sub that I could bring in and kind of give you an idea of what that looks like with those eyes lighting up. But yeah, this head sculpt just looks amazing. I mean, there's so much detail there, even on the sides. Just looks astounding. And then moving on to the chest area, I'll tell you now, this guy is heavy. There's something else there, but I will do my best to hold him steady here. We look at that chest area, and there's that big gaping hole because, as we know from the movie, he has no soul. And look at all those paint apps. You've got those coppers and those blues and those hints of gold up on the chest up here. Oh my gosh, just amazing. And then coming down here to the crotch. Now these are a soft rubber, so you can move these out of the way and do with them what you will. Coming down to those legs. So much going on here with those legs. Just lovely. I mean, it's fascinating to see how well Unique Toys can capture a Michael Bay stylized figure. So even on the insides of the legs there, looks great. And of course on the fronts down here, and you've got those nice gold toes right there in the middle. And looking underneath, that's where all the wheels are hid for the back. So there you go. And uh-oh, he made you look. Now you get 2 for flinching. Anyway, sorry, that's immature. Anyway, here's the foot and all that beautiful leg detail right there. So much going on. Oh, before I forget about it, I did want to show you this. If you look down here, I'm going to click that knee out of the way just for a second. Look at that. Totally unnecessary. Wouldn't have missed it if it wasn't there, but you even have little pistons going on down there. So really cool, really cool. All right, and moving this arm out of the way, up and clear, so we can see what's going on under here. Good detail all the way around under there. And looking under the arm itself, just a lot going on there. Really, really well done. All right, let's look at this side of the arm. So you can see that stylized medieval knight kind of thing going on that they had between Age of Extinction and Transformers the Last Knight. So really well done. And these blades are just, goodness, what can you say? And this gold and this blue right here, wow, just the paint apps and the stylization on this figure, it just blows me away. And coming around to the back, this is a really clean transformation. The Unique Toys has really done it again as far as their voodoo black magic goes. There is very much the case of where did the truck go? And yeah, you can see the tires up here, but really, where is that Freightliner cab over truck? It's gone. It's so cool. All right, and we're coming down here, all that blue. Even his little butt plate has nice detail to it. Back here, just great detail all the way around. Lovely, lovely, and lovely. All right, so as far as the articulation goes, before I start on that, I do want to say a couple things. A majority of his joints have very heavy ratchets. I love it. It's great. This guy's incredibly stable. I'm just a little confused about the hips. And you'll see when I get to it. But yeah, these ratchets are heavy. So as I move this guy around, there's going to be a lot of ratcheting going on. So, but let's start up here with the head, and that head's on a ball joint. So you do get down about that far. You can get up about that far, and you can give him that quizzical side-to-side look, and you can turn his head about that far before he starts running into himself on either side. All right, and then over here at the shoulders, so you do have these spring-loaded shoulder pads which get out of your way, which is nice, but do be careful because as you raise this arm up, he does occasionally want to catch right here between that shoulder pad and this upper collar area. So please be careful with that. Why I have a tendency to just put my thumb right here and lift this up the rest of the way to make sure it clears. But you can lift his arm up about that far, and then you can take that a full 360 around if you choose to do so. And right here at the elbow, well, before we get to the elbow, he does have that bicep rotation right up here. So you can take that around as far as you need to go. Just try not to run his blade into anything. And then as far as the elbow goes, you do get, again, on a very heavy ratchet, you get way beyond 90, so you get a nice deep elbow bend right there. And then at these hands, let's move that out a little bit, and we'll do a close-up on these hands here. So you do have, move this out of the way, and move this out of the way. So you do have, these three fingers are together. They're fused together, so they all move as one, and then this one is individual, and the thumb is individual. So you do have a ball joint here, and then you have these two pins right here. So you have very human-like articulation for that thumb, and for these fingers, you have the ability to bend right here, right there, and then right on that fingertip, so you can curl that around, and you can pretty much go all the way around like that, and then you can do the same thing with these three all together. And then at the wrist, that wrist is on a ball joint, so you can swing that around whichever direction you want to go. You can go up a little bit, you can go down a little bit, and you get a little bit of side-to-side wiggle, so if he wants to shake somebody's hand in a weird way, he can do that. All right, now coming down here to the waist, you do get waist rotation. Just bear in mind that these could get in your way as you do the twist, so when you twist, you know, you're going to get about that far either direction. You could go way further if you want, but it starts running into stuff and it makes me a little uncomfortable, plus he doesn't quite look natural, right? So now let's take a look at those hips, what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to move those arms out of the way. So he will give you a nice split, but everything is on heavy ratchets except for these hips for the split. So they're just no ratchet. And you know, his leg is pretty heavy, and even though these pins are tight, I have a concern that over time that might not stay tight. All right, so it would have been nice to have ratcheting hips outwards. So I'm a little confused as to why they did that, but it is what it is. All right, so now he does have the ability to swing those hips back and forth a little bit, so almost like a butterfly joint in his hips. Would have been nice to have a butterfly joint up here in those shoulders, but you do have that in the hips. Now this helps with transformation, but you can also utilize it for your posing. And no thigh rotation, but you do get rotation right above that knee right there. So you can turn those any direction you want. And the knees are on heavy ratchets, so you can get a good deep knee bend, maybe just a little over 90 right there, and it does reveal more detail, which is really cool. All right. And then down here at the feet. The feet are kind of interesting. So you have these, whatever, metatarsal top covers here, and they're on a hinge. So you can bring them down and get them out of your way. And if you do that, that gives you a little bit more freedom of movement on that foot. So you can come down about that far, and you can come up about that far. I like to keep them right up, tucked right up under here, and that I do believe is the way that you're supposed to do it anyway, because if you don't, the only thing that this ankle is holding, or the only thing holding this ankle, is this pin right here. And that pin, although admirable at what it does, there's a whole lot of Galvatron here to try to hold and balance on that pin. So it's real easy. If you don't have these in the way, it is real easy for that foot to collapse forward. All right, so keeping these right here actually gives you interference that helps you get a better sense of balance on this guy. All right, and you do have ankle tilt, so you can take those out about that far. So you could give him a nice, you know, with a sumo stance if you want. Get him out quite a bit. Whoa! And then he does the splits. That's where it would have been nice to have had the ratchet joints in those hips. So there you go. There's good evidence for that. All right, but that is it for the details and the articulation on this guy. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and we'll jump into those accessories and take a look at how he uses all that stuff that came in the box. Here he is sporting those accessories that came in the box with him, and we'll start right over here with that hand cannon. And to save a little bit of time, I've gone ahead and I've put it on his hand. I'll take it off. I'll show you how it works, but wanted to bring that in and kind of show you. So that just plugs right in to his hand. And you can plug it in either direction, so you could flip it 180 degrees if you want to. And the nice thing about this is it holds pretty securely, so it's not going to fall off. So you don't have any concerns there, but you still have freedom of movement in that hand as far as that ball joint. So you can twist it, you know, you can move it up, you can move it down, left to right, side to side. So you can do whatever you want to do if you want to have it oriented like that. So it's coming right at you. You can do something like that if you choose to do so. And like I said, it's pretty easy to take off. You just go ahead and you give it a little bit of a pull and it comes right off. And then there you just have his hand balled up in a fist, and that's all you need to do. So fist his hand up, stick it in there, and you are good to go with that accessory. Now for the other accessories, which are these missile pods, this one's a little bit more of a mystery for me in this mode. So you do have, as you can see on this hand right here, you have a slot right there in the top of that hand. As far as I can tell, that is where you're supposed to put it. But when you do, and you have his hand oriented like that, well, they're not exactly pointing forward. So if he were to hold his hand like that and be shooting at you, he's not shooting at you, he's shooting that way, which is kind of odd. But I mean, I guess if you wanted to have his hands down by his waist and he's just kind of, I don't know, side arming them or whatever, you could do something like that. Now the reason I have his arm oriented like this is because there is another area that I wanted to show you of possibility. Now you have this slot right here. This slot is not at all designed to hold these missile pods. That slot is a little bit too big. But if you have his arm up like that, what you can do is you can take this missile pod off, and these are nice and tight, so let's give it a little bit of a wiggle. It's coming. There we go. So you can take that missile pod off, and you can use the slot right up here. So if you just want him in a pose on your shelf, something like this, you certainly could use that. And I think that looks a little bit better because at least it's pointing the same direction as the front of his fist. So that's really entirely up to you how you want to display him. Me personally, I don't really like the missile pods sitting sideways like that. I would much rather have them facing forward. I think they would have looked a lot better had they been able to face forward like that. So, but that is it for the accessories, other than, of course, the Tucci. And, you know, do what you want with him. I mean, you can stick him in the cab in truck mode, which we'll see. In this mode, I guess you could have Galvatron holding him. Totally up to you. Whatever you want to do. All right? So that is it for the accessories. So now we'll go ahead and we'll get him converted to his vehicle mode and take a look at all those details there. All right, everybody. So here it is, the moment we've all been waiting for. Nero, aka Galvatron, in his absolutely glorious alt mode. I mean, this thing looks great for something that actually transforms from the robot that we saw, oh my goodness, to being able to look even remotely like this. It's astounding. Talk about a feat of engineering. I just can't say enough about it, and I know I sound like I'm fawning, but I absolutely love the black magic voodoo engineering that Unique Toys uses for their figures, and he's just another example of it. So I'm going to shut up. Let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at the close-ups and some details. He's not perfect, and we'll talk about some of those things that, you know, detract a little bit, but for the most part, just looking at him right here, absolutely glorious. Just amazing. So let's go ahead and start at the front, and we will look at that cab with that smoky gray or that dark smoked window, and down here at that grill with the same thing. Now here's probably, for the front of the cab, here's my biggest complaints. just both of these areas right here. So a couple things. Number one, it's a gap, you know, and no matter what I do, I can't make it any better. And you do have these very obvious ball joints sitting right there. And this is a contact point during transformation. So I do have some concerns about wear just on these edges over time. So just something to be aware of and to watch out for when you're converting this figure. Now, as far as the rest of the front, you can see those headlights just looking great. Fog lights down here, and then this is a metal bar. This comes separately in the box. This is something you have to install yourself. It's not that hard to do. Just something worth noting that you install that yourself. Same thing with these mirrors here. These are die-cast mirrors, and they are removable. So you can take those off, and then you just plug them back in, just like that. All right. Now coming over here to the passenger side, take a nice look there. And I do have his weapons on. You can, of course, remove these weapons, and let's go ahead and do that. He is so heavy. Go ahead and wiggle one of these out so that way you can see one side without the weapons. So there he is, just stock, if you will, a stock Freightliner cab over truck. And yeah, I mean, even then you've got these fuel tanks down there, and for the wheels, just all that detail in there for the wheels and the rubber tires. And coming back here, same thing. These look phenomenal. And then you get to the back, and then this is, again, just like what we've seen for most semi-truck Transformers. You kind of fall apart in the back, but he doesn't fall apart as badly as some others. I've got a little bit of a gap right there in my trailer hitch. Sorry about that. He doesn't fall apart as bad as some others do, but I would have liked to have seen maybe something else a little different back here, but at least he has, you know, nice blue taillights, I guess, if you want to call them that. But yeah, I mean, you're not typically going to see him from this angle when you have him in his vehicle mode anyway. So I'm not too bothered about it, particularly given the history of all the Optimus Primes that we've gotten in the past that just look absolutely horrible back here, up to and including the MPM 12, Masterpiece Movie 12 Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie. Phenomenal robot mode, but he absolutely falls apart in the back half of his truck mode. So I got to hand it to Unique Toys here to take a figure, to take a character that didn't even transform in the traditional sense in the movie, to go from his robot to this mode. They've figured out that voodoo. So bravo. And the fact that they've gotten this close in alt mode, I can't say enough good things about it. So this absolutely just gets me excited from an engineering standpoint. This is the kind of thing when I was a kid, I wanted to do this. I wanted to figure out how to make a truck turn into a robot and back to a truck. And these guys, they're working their magic, and I love it. I know I'm fawning. Sorry. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at him from the top so you can get a look there. All right. And again, this guy has a lot of weight, so I'm kind of handling him with kid gloves here. And there he is from the bottom. So he does have some visible head syndrome there, but it's not that bad because you can't, unless you really peek in there, you can't see a face. But he does have visible blade syndrome right there. But even then, no worries at all on this guy. He just looks fantastic in my opinion. So now the doors do open in this mode. So if you just take this and open gently, the reason I say gently is because this window wants to come out when you open the doors as well, so you can see the window. But if the window does come out, it makes it a lot easier to open the door. And then you can just put the window back in. So the doors do open, and you do have a space in there for, you know, a figure if you can figure out how to make him work. So you could take Mr. Stanley Tucci, and you can try to push him in there. There's really no good way. I know I've tried. I've seen other reviewers try. There's no good way to get him in there and still have him being upright. So if you wanted to, you know, kind of shove him like that, then you could do something like that. So that's totally up to you, and you can get the door closed. but he's not sitting in there properly. You know it, I know it, he knows it. But for anybody just walking up right now, they would never know it. So there you go. All right, so the only other thing I wanted to talk about real briefly was his other accessory. I cannot figure out anywhere in the alt mode to put this. So this is one of those things that if you're going to display him like this, I think you're just going to need to put this off to the side. So just something to be aware of. You know, of course, if you're just going to have him sitting on the shelf, you can just do something like that, and that doesn't look awful. You know, it blends in. So totally up to you. But what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and we'll bring in some comparisons and see how this guy stacks up in his alt mode to some of the other figures out there. So for our first alt mode comparison, here we see, of course, Nero on the left side compared to the Unique Toys Peru Kill. This is Unique Toys' take on the Age of Extinction lockdown. And I think these two actually scale pretty well together. Not being an owner of a Lamborghini myself, I'm thinking maybe it should be a little bit smaller, but it's not out of the realm of believability to see these two at this scale next to each other. So yeah, I think these two look absolutely phenomenal together. For our next comparison, this is the Unique Toys Challenger. This is their take on the Transformers The Last Night Optimus Prime. And from a scale standpoint, I don't think this works. I think Challenger or Optimus Prime looks a little bit too small here. Now they scale up decently in their bot modes, but I just think the truck modes here just off enough that we can definitely see the difference here. But regardless, phenomenal engineering and great black magic voodoo on both of these, and I absolutely adore them. So, and getting past the scale, I think they look pretty good together right there. Our next comparison is the Unique Toys Dragoon. This is their take on the Last Night Megatron, and I don't even care about scale, guys. These two just look phenomenal together. Phenomenal. This is just, I'm geeking out a little bit. This is just way cool. I almost can't handle it, but this looks cool. This looks great. Also, just a real quick note, Stanley Tucci tells me that the scale is not 1-to-1 on these guys, so Dragoon should probably be a little bit bigger, but the Tucci has spoken. And for our final comparison, here we see the Unique Toys Nero on the left, and on the right we have the original Galvatron figure that came out for the Age of Extinction movie. And yeah, you can see there is, I want to say there's no comparison, but there is the comparison here, but it's really, you know, a case of apples and extremely delicious, wonderful, best apples you've ever had apples. So this one's apples over here if you haven't guessed that. So yeah, I think, you know, looking at them in these modes, this is as close to comparable as these two figures are going to get, because this is, for all intents and purposes, this entire thing is just the backpack, as we've seen in the robot mode. Then this entire thing is just the backpack that folds over and covers the top half of Galvatron's body. So yeah, they darn well better get it accurate, you know, relatively accurate to the CGI model, whereas there's so much engineering and everything going on here that, again, voodoo black magic engineering to actually make this happen. So, but you can see, you know, just from this side by side here, just how well done the Unique Toys Nero figure is and how well they've captured the overall essence of Galvatron in this mode. So we'll take a look at him from a few different angles here just so we can soak it in and gain a true and genuine appreciation for this figure and everything that he represents. And here we see them both from the front, and yeah, you can see all the detail that was captured in the Nero figure here and really upgraded. I'll give credit where credit is due, simply because of the way that he transforms. At least with this figure, you don't get these ball joints being visible. But beyond that, I mean, this has got it in spades. Overall quality, the look, the details. This middle bar here, of course, it's molded in down here. These aren't painted. you know, those kinds of touches like that. And I get it. I know it's not apples to apples. I'm just saying from a comparison standpoint in their truck modes, just what a phenomenal job Unique Toys has done over here. Here we see both vehicles from the left side. Here they are back to back. Here we see both of them from the back as though they're driving away from you. And finally, here they are in that 3/4 view with a little bonus touch of Tucci. And that wraps up the alt mode comparisons, so let's go ahead and get into the bot comparisons. So for our first bot mode comparison, here we see the Unique Toys Nero next to the Unique Toys Peru Kill. This is their take on the Age of Extinction lockdown, and man, these guys look great together. Our next comparison for the Unique Toys Nero is the Unique Toys Challenger. This is their take on a Transformers The Last Knight Optimus Prime. And I'm not entirely sure if it's coming through on camera or not. So going back to what I said earlier when we were talking about the details, Nero's eyes light up, but I don't have the right size batteries for them. So I do have the light up eyes turned on for Optimus Prime. Now these are the Nemesis Prime eyes when Quintessa possessed him, or whatever you want to call it. But if you can't see them there, I do have also his original Optimus Prime head that, if I can get some focus on it, there we go. So this is the original Optimus Prime head, and he lights up blue. So there you go. That's what the light up eyes look like, just to give you a point of comparison. Our next comparison for the Unique Toys Nero is the Unique Toys Dragoon, and this is Unique Toys' take on the Last Knight Megatron. So yeah, you can see these two guys just look absolutely astounding together, and Unique Toys, what can I say? These guys just, they do the voodoo that they do so well. So there you go. And we'll go ahead and we'll throw another third-party masterpiece movie Transformer into the mix, and this is the DX9 La Hire. So this is their take on a Transformers The Last Knight Hot Rod. So you can see how he looks next to Mr. Nero. And for a mainline movie masterpiece comparison, here we see on the left the third-party Unique Toys Nero, their take on Galvatron, next to the Hasbro Takara MPM 08 Megatron from the first Bayverse 2007 movie. And here we see, how do I say this, the lazy, half-baked attempt at a toy that Hasbro gave us when Age of Extinction first came out. This is the Age of Extinction Galvatron next to the Unique Toys Nero, and guys, it's not even a comparison. I know that these are not apples to apples. I completely 100% understand the huge price difference, but even on the best of days, even before this guy, that was completely unworthy of being called Galvatron. So so nice to finally have something like this to represent that character from the movie. So there you go. And hey, just for fun, why not? Here we see the Unique Toys Nero, aka Galvatron, next to the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Galvatron with his funky backwards installed shoulders and all. And we'll end the bot mode comparisons with this Unique Toys family photo, if you will. And guys, what a testament to what great engineering and great design can do for the Transformers community. Unique Toys is a prime example of when done right, a masterpiece can truly mean masterpiece. I mean, these four designs right here are absolutely amazing. Some of the best designs that I've ever seen for third-party figures, or mainline figures for that matter. And I can't say enough good things about them. And seeing them all right here, just, it's mind-blowing for me. So yeah, what a great way to end the bot mode comparisons here. So let's go ahead and wrap this up and get into those final thoughts. All right, everybody, so let's go ahead and talk about those final thoughts on the Unique Toys Nero. putting it in the shortest way possible. If you have the means, I highly recommend that you pick this figure up. He's everything that we were hoping for. He looks amazing. He's highly posable. He's incredibly stable. It's really the closest you're going to get to movie accuracy in a transforming figure for the Age of Extinction Galvatron. The only way you're going to get any more movie accuracy is if you just go straight with non-converting statues. So if you want the figure that is going to look great in his robot mode and is going to look really good in his truck mode, then this is the one you're going to want to pick up. But let's go ahead and get into the meat of that and talk about those reasons why. So starting as we always do with the aesthetics, the overall look of this guy, he's amazing. The paint apps on this guy, the molded plastic color, the attention to detail, everything that they've packed into this figure looks amazing. From every angle, he looks astounding. Truck mode, he pulls off truck mode really well. It's kind of the same thing that we see with almost every single semi-truck mode for any figure ever, including the Optimus Primes. They nail it for the front half. The back half suffers a little bit, and that's the same thing that goes on with him. That trailer hitch area and that upper area near that trailer hitch, it just kind of falls apart. But from the front and from that ISO view, that 3/4 view, if you will, in the truck mode with the cab, he looks great. The biggest complaint that I would have in the truck mode is just seeing those big ball joints on the front of the truck cab above the grill. But other than that, he looks fantastic. And as you can see in robot mode, this guy is about as close to perfection as we're going to get. So aesthetics, I'm giving this guy a 9 out of 10. About the only way that he could look any better is if he were a little bit better in the back in that truck mode. I know that that's kind of a wish list item. Nobody out there yet has been able to perfect that, but that keeps him from being a perfect 10. All right, so as far as articulation goes, moving on to the articulation, he's, for the most part, pretty well articulated. Heavy ratchet joints everywhere, high posability. I guess from a wish list standpoint, I would have liked to have seen more range in the feet and more range in the head. So the ankle tilt is great, but being able to move those feet up or down a little bit more would have really helped with some dynamic poses. And it would have been nice to be able to turn his head a little bit more. It's not detrimental at all. This is just me actually looking for something to complain about, if you will. A butterfly joint in those shoulders would have been nice as well, to be able to bring those forward a little bit more and get some dynamic poses. But my biggest issue as far as articulation goes is with those hip joints. Everything is a heavy ratchet except for when he's doing the splits. I have concerns over time about those pins becoming a little bit too loose. So that's my biggest concern with this guy, but for the most part, you're going to be able to put him in almost any pose that you can imagine. So for articulation, I'm giving this guy an 8 out of 10. Now, as far as accessories go, yeah, I mean, he comes with what he should. I think it was great that they added little Tucci. I was not expecting that figure, and I certainly wasn't expecting him to be as articulated as he could. So he was a nice addition. The hand cannon is nice. The shoulder, or the missile pods, they're a little odd. They work great in truck mode, but I just I don't think I'm going to use them in the robot mode. So the accessories that he does come with, between those missile pods, little Tucci, and that hand cannon, the detail, the quality, everything on those is there. So I guess I don't really have any complaints about the accessories. I'm just a little confused as to how to use those missile pods in robot mode. So for the accessories, I'm going to give this guy an 8 out of 10 for that. Now, as far as quality goes, I have no issues out of the box. He came with everything he was supposed to. Nothing was broken. Nothing was missing. Everything works as it should. So no real complaints at all. Everything, the molding, the overall quality of this guy, the paint apps, all of it is just on point. Absolutely. The only thing that's going to bring him down from a quality standpoint is going back to those hips. Just my concern, they're not really loose right now, but they're a little looser out of the box than I would have liked to have seen them, and I certainly would have liked them to have been ratchets. So for quality, I'm going to give this guy a 9 out of 10 on that bullet. Now, onto our last one, overall value. This one is going to be pretty subjective, and most times it is, I understand that, but this one really is going to be subjective because of the price tag of this guy. This is not a $20 figure. I paid, I bought him off of tfsource.com, and I pre-ordered him, and my price was $215 US. So he was not a cheap figure, but this is a figure that I had been wanting. The second that it was announced for pre-order, I put my pre-order in for this guy, and not just myself, but everybody. We had to wait an eternity to get him, but I'm so happy with this purchase, and that's a huge cash outlay. I completely understand that. So value is going to be very subjective here. For me, I think he's a good value for the money, because what you get in the quality, in the engineering, in the overall look and the aesthetics of this guy, he's everything that I was hoping for. $215 is a little expensive, and I looked today on the date of the recording of this video, and I did notice that on TF Source the price is up now. I think it's like $230 US, so it's a little bit more expensive than it was for the pre-order price, and I'm sure the price is only going to continue to travel that direction, as most unique toy prices do. So something to be aware of there. I guess for that price point, my biggest complaint would have been, it sure would have been nice if he included those weird size batteries that I needed for his eyes to light up. Throw me a bone, man. Give me a couple of batteries so I can fully enjoy this guy right out of the box. So for the overall value, I'm giving this guy an 8 out of 10. So that gives Unique Toys Nero a total out of 50 possible points. It gives him a total of 42 points out of 50, which puts him at an 84%. And I have no hesitations recommending this figure. I think that if you have the means, and this is something that you have been looking forward to, you're going to get this. You're going to love him. You're going to love seeing this guy on your shelf. It's a hefty price tag. I will not deny that. So I don't do a lot of these large third-party high-dollar figures, but this is one that I absolutely had to have. And Unique Toys, they have a special place in my heart anyway, because everything that they make is just an absolute home run. They knock them out of the park every time. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up the review. I really hope that this helps you if you're considering buying this figure. I hope that it helps you make a buying decision, either yay or nay. And if not, at the very least, I hope that you were entertained and you enjoyed watching the video. So if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and leave us a comment or two, however many you want. Let me know what you think about this guy. Let me know what you think about Unique Toys, about the price point on these. And it seems like third-party figures, that price is only going up, which is kind of unfortunate. But with that, I'm going to wrap the review up now. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. And until we see you guys in the next one, take care.